welcome back to this month of April. I hope you had a nice 2-week break and are ready to continue talking about translation. And today we are bringing a topic that is a little bit delicate. There is a lot of opinions about it, as they do. And I'm going to talk about something, and obviously this is my personal opinion. This is how I deal with situations like that. And I have to say, in my career, I only had once that I was suspicious of this, but I know it's out there. I'm talking about fraud. I'm talking about fraudulent documents, and if we should verify the authenticity of the documents we translate, and what is the fine line between our code of ethics and our personal ethical and moral values. So come with me and let's talk about the authenticity that is, of the documents we translate, and what should we do if we are presented with a document that we deem to be fraudulent. So come with me and let's talk about translation. So let's talk about what we should do and the whole issue of authenticity and what we should do if we think a document that we are dealing with, it's not authentic, it's not legit, and we think it might be used as or for fraud. Well, there is a lot of controversy about this because there is the rules, the official rules, but then again, we are humans, we are people, and we have our own standards and our own moral values as well. So let's talk about this. And as I said in the beginning, this is my personal opinion. You may do something different, you may deal with it different. As I said also in the beginning, I only encountered this once, but I know there are a lot of colleagues that unfortunately deal with this quite frequently, and when there's visas involved, sometimes people resort to this sort of issue or this sort of tactics, and obviously we condemn them and we are not for it, of course. So I'm talking about fraudulent documents and things like that. So let's see. The official rules say it's not our duty to verify the authenticity. Today I think I stumble on this word. The authenticity of a document. Our job is to translate the document and leave the legal side to the competent authorities. Well, that is the official rules. We are translators, we are not authorities or government officials to be dealing with the legality of the documents we translate. In fact, we are not legal consultants ourselves or authorities to be able to verify the authenticity of a document. We cannot do it. It's not our job. However, in some instances, it's quite apparent, and even if we are not an authority, we can look at a document and we can say, well, this doesn't sound right or doesn't look right. The reality is sometimes we do notice a document does not seem right. So what can we do in these instances? What should we do? We can we report it to an authority? Well, it's a fine line. It is a gray area, to be honest. Technically, we cannot, because we are under a confidentiality clause under our code of ethics, and I'll leave the link for the OSIT code of ethics so you can have a look, under which we cannot disclose any details of a particular project or client. So this is what our code of ethics say. So reporting the matter might be a little tricky, but not impossible. And I know a lot of colleagues have done it, because let's face it, sometimes you are dealing with things that although it's not your responsibility, you know that the implications of those documents ending in let's say in a application, and that person be deemed to be something they not. For example, I'm thinking about driver's licenses, and there is a lot of colleagues that have said of people trying to apply for driver's licenses with driver's licenses that are fake. And of course you think about that person, for example, picking up a truck and driving a truck when they're not qualified to. We see the implications of this. We know that this person are desperate to get a visa and to have a better life. But again, you see also the implications of this measure, desperate measure, I would say, as that person is not qualified, for example, and I'm giving an example of a driver's license, that person is not qualified to drive heavy vehicles, and then getting into a truck and having a horrible accident ended up killing someone or killing themselves. So it's a gray area that our code of ethics does not allow us to do so, but we are humans and we see what may happen, or what may come from this sort of thing. I would say that if we believe we are dealing with a fraudulent document or documents, or that the product of our translation, that our translations will be used in any form of illegal activity, well, the first thing is we can decline the job. I would say that would be my first thing, was to decline the job. We are in no obligation to accept the project. So if we feel that we do not want to do anything with that client or clients, we can decline the project. We must do it politely, though. We can't. Please don't go on rampage saying, no, I'm not working with you, you're a criminal, or something like that. Because of course it has its implications as well, and it won't look good for you. But that doesn't make the matter go away. It just gets you out of the matter. So how do we deal with the fact that someone is trying to get false documents translated? Again, it's a very tricky and extremely uncomfortable situation. But in order to comply with our code of ethics and our own moral standards, we can politely put the matter to the client. And I have to say that I have encountered this in one instance where I received a document that didn't sound right. It was back in the day, it was an Australian federal police check, the police certificate, the imagery, and if you work in Australia, you know that they have very distinctive imageries of the crests of all the police forces in the country, and it's very distinctive. It's in blue, but it's very distinctive, and you have all those things. And I've done so many police checks in my career. As you know, certified translation is one of my main business, And I found that those images didn't sound right. The whole thing didn't sound right. The whole thing sound or looked a little pixelated. And I know that these days these certificates are even obtained online. So the whole certificate, the valid certificate, come from the authority online as well. So it didn't look right. So back in the day, I called Nati to ask about this, and this was years ago, and that's what they told me. I cannot provide any information about the particulars of the client. What I can say is put it to the client. So what you can do, if you believe that something is wrong, that something with that document does not look legit, or you have some issues, you can put it to the client. You can say, look, I think there's a little bit of an issue with this document. The images don't sound right. Where did you obtain the document? At this stage, I'm not inclined to accept the project. And you just wait for the client's response and go from there. I believe that if it is indeed a fraudulent document, they would probably disappear and will never contact you, and they would be aware. You can even make them aware that you would be inclined to report it, because if it's, for example, if it's a driver's license and the person is trying to get a driver's license, for example, for those who translate into English and they're trying to get a driver's license in Australia with a fraudulent driver's license from overseas, it is a safety issue, and then it's a fine line between your confidentiality clause and the duty of care of safety of the community at large. So as I said, it's a very, very, very fine line, and it's a gray area that it is very and it's uncomfortable. It's a situation that it is very uncomfortable. Some authorities allow you to verify the authenticity again. Oh God, the authenticity of a document on their website. You just put because usually they have a reference. You put the reference, and they allow you. In other countries, I know that that's possible, and then you can just simply see if the information that appears online it's correspondent to what you have. You can do that, and if you find that the data showed on the document does not match the one in front of you, you can convey that to the client as well and say, look, I verified this document, and the document that appears with this reference does not match what you sent me, so what's going on here? At the end of the day, we cannot avoid these things to happen, and authorities have very good ways to verify the authenticity of documents. So I would say, if you refuse the job, let the client know your concerns. I would say that. I had that issue. It was an extremely uncomfortable situation. When I put it to the client, as I said, they disappeared. They never reply back to me. And I think that also may spook them, because if they're trying to do it and if they contact the translator, and the translator it's already picking up that something is odd, that document doesn't sound legit, they will think, okay, if I go and show it to the authorities, they're going to pick that up as well. So I would say declining as well, because if you decline, if they try to go to another colleague and they decline, they won't have the document translated anyway. So at the end of the day, it's your call. You do whatever you think it's right for the situation. We cannot go away from our code of ethics. We cannot disclose anything. We cannot report if we don't make the client aware. However, if you think the document is not authentic, you can simply say, look, there is something wrong with this document. It does not sound right. You put that forward and you'll see what they come up with. that is what I would do in regards to this. In fact, that's what I did when it happened to me. So for today, I hope you liked this insider talking about something that it's not pleasant. It's not easy to deal with, but I think at the end of the day, it's it's a question of thinking what is best, and I think we always find a way of dealing with these uncomfortable, difficult situations because quite frankly, I think it's common sense. We don't have to accept the job, we don't have to do it. But again, as I said, doesn't make it go away. So if we put it to the client, it's always a good thing. Or if you let them know that you are happy to report it because you think it's wrong. At the end of the day, it's what do you think you should do? This is not a right wrong situation. Everyone has their own opinion on this, their own method. I know a lot of colleagues that are dealing with a very big increase on this type of occurrence, and they actually reported. I know colleagues that are actually really tired of seeing this because it's really sad. So let me know in the comments, have you ever had encountered a situation like this, and if so, how did you solve it? What did you do to solve the matter in an amicable situation where you didn't have to really resort to any sort of conflict? Well, it's never really amicable because you either decline the job and you don't say anything, or you decline the job and you let the client know why you're declining, because you think that the document there's something wrong with the document. So it's always a little bit of a conflict there. So let me know if you ever encountered a situation like this. How did you solve it? What did you do? Did you report it? And maybe what does your code of ethics say in regards to this? I know that mostly all codes of ethics are about the same and have about the same clauses, but there might be some association that created a specific clause for this type of issue. So how did you solve it? What did you do? And if you haven't encountered a situation like this yet, but I'm sure you have an opinion, what would you do? Let us know. I think it's most importantly is to create awareness for this kind of situation and discuss what are the possible outcomes, what people would do in this type of situation, because I think dialogue is very important. I think talking about things is important, and that's why I bring these sometimes difficult topics, because I think it is important to talk about them. So let me know. And put a like on the video and subscribe the channel with a little click on the bell so you get a notification of a new insider every week. Before I go, I would like to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next week. Have a good one. Bye.